Joshua gives us his instant reaction. And finally, it's already been a hectic season of college basketball, and that isn't stopping anytime soon. Jeff Goodman is here to preview this weekend's packed slate of college hoops. That and more, next on The Rally.
Happy Friday, everybody. Welcome to The Rally. We got the whole crew in the studio. We got Joshua Perry, Russell Dorsey. I'm Brooke Fletcher. Guys, how we feeling?
Feel great.
How we doing?
I feel good, Brooke.
I feel great. And it's almost the weekend. Any big plans?
No, ma'am.
No?
This weekend.
I know, the weather kind of makes you want to stay inside, maybe watch some movies or some football.
Yeah, I got a little honey-do list for the weekend.
Oh, yeah. You what, like chores around the house?
Yeah,
He's not a big chores guy.
I
He
hate
likes chores.
Yeah.
I would prefer to outsource chores.
Well, you got a wife that she's due, what, in like a month? So
Yeah, that's the other part.
A month and a half or so.
Wow.
You just got to deal with it at this point.
that's the least you
She's
can do.
carrying
Come on.
Your young son.
I'd like to outsource the chores.
Come on, Joshua. You could take out the trash. All
I
right,
did this morning,
I'm so proud of
and
you.
I would still like to outsource it.
Okay, let's get to today's big trends because we got a lot to get to. Yeah, we do. The divisional round of the playoffs, it gets underway tomorrow. So we have a Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes showdown. The Lions, they are trying to keep their playoff run going, and the surging Texans and Packers, they visit the #1 seeds as big underdogs. So let's break these down and start with who has more to gain if they win this weekend. JP?
I'm going to go with Lamar Jackson as a singular person in this equation, not necessarily a team. I feel like Lamar Jackson has done most of the things that people would like to do in their career. Really talented player, obviously. He's won an MVP, probably going to take home another one. But the biggest knock that people have is, well, is this guy going to either be available or actually going to win a playoff game? Is he going to show up in the postseason? People are looking at the money that he was paid in the offseason, and based off of the results of what they did through the regular season, it seems like it was worth it. But they really pay you that much to be the quarterback of a team that can make a run for a championship. So I think getting a win here would be big because it would quiet some of the haters that say you can't win in the postseason. Give yourself an opportunity now to be a game away from a Super Bowl with a win. I think Lamar Jackson's got quite a bit on the line, could gain a ton if he wins his game.
I'm going to say the Buffalo Bills.
Sure.
Right? I think when you look at the fact that they host the Kansas City Chiefs, who will be playing their first road playoff game in the Pat Mahomes era, I think that matters. I think that's huge. I think the other thing I'm thinking about is it's always been Bills, Chiefs, with the Chiefs knocking off the Buffalo Bills and the Bills always being the bridesmaid, but never the bride. But this might be the year with this Chiefs team that hasn't been great all season long. You had Patrick Mahomes turning the football over. You've had the weapons or lack thereof for Kansas City not making plays or making boneheaded plays late in games. This might be the year that the Buffalo Bills can say, this could be our path to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, the first time that Patrick Mahomes, he's on the road in the postseason there, so there's a advantage for the Bills. I'm going to have to go with the young guns, right? The Texans and the Packers here. You know, nobody really expected them to do much this season, but you look at the rise of C.J. Stroud and Jordan Love and what some of these young stars have been able to do, and they're really just putting the NFL world on notice with their performances, and it's like, hey, to silence the haters here, we are here to stay, and we're really building something. And you could maybe throw the Lions in there, although people were expecting them to take a step forward, but they have really showed how good they can be down the stretch. So let's switch gears, going from maybe who can gain a lot, who has the most to gain, to who has the most to lose.
All right, so I'm going to take the opposite approach of Russ. I think the Kansas City Buffalo Bills game, whoever loses that, I think has the most to lose. Both of those teams are in that position. For Kansas City, it's for all the reasons that Russ said, necessarily haven't looked good throughout the regular season. You put yourself in position to make it into the postseason. You get stopped short of the ability to go to a conference championship game. And I would ask the question after that is, do we feel like the Chiefs' championship window is starting to close if they lose this game? We've talked about Travis Kelce and how he hasn't looked the same. The wide receiver group certainly doesn't have the top end that it once did. It feels like they would be losing a little bit of that foothold that they've had in the NFL. Similar thing for the Bills. If they don't win this football game, I think people will start to say that they never actually had a championship window. I think that we tried to create this idea that they were a championship caliber team, and they never really lived up to it at all. And so I think there's a lot to lose for either one of those teams.
Yeah,
No, go ahead.
No, I mean, I would agree with you there with the Bills. It's just they can't ever seem to get over that hump in the postseason, and they've had the inconsistencies. Josh Allen, he has been inconsistent, and so, if now he's starting to perform and this team is starting to perform at the level that we know, if they fall apart, yeah, it's to the Chiefs here, but they have the advantage on their side here. They're one of the hottest teams in the postseason right now. They have this home field advantage. Take advantage of the fact that Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, they are not playing to their full potential here, and really make something of this run.
The 49ers.
Yeah.
If the 49ers lose to the Green Bay Packers as the team that many consider to be the best team in the NFL most of the season, with Brock Purdy having this fantastic year, with Christian McCaffrey having a fantastic year, with a defense that added Chase Young to book in their line with Nick Bosa, I would have a hard time not looking at the 49ers and like, the hell did y'all do? Right? Y'all were supposed to be the team that faced the Ravens in the Super Bowl, and you didn't even get past the first round.
Yeah, no, that's a very good point. The Ravens and the 49ers, they're both front runners there, and they have a lot to play for this weekend. We're going to talk more about that, but maybe a team not in the postseason this year, but maybe next year, because it's official. The Raiders, they have made Antonio Pierce their new head coach. Pierce led the team to a 5-4 record as an interim coach, and this is an organization that has missed on many head coaches over the last 20 years. So, JP, what do you think of this hire?
I think they ended up doing the right thing, because you could tell by the response in the locker room that the players really wanted this to happen. You mentioned Pierce's record, 5-4. It's not like it was anything necessarily groundbreaking, but I think it was enough for them to feel confident about their ability to proceed forward. And of course, if you can salvage the end of the season the way that they did under Pierce, and then maybe add in a quarterback who gives you a little bit more than Aiden O'Connell did down the stretch there, it feels like this is a team that can make a little bit more noise. I think there are a lot of people, though, around the NFL, owners, GMs for other teams, that hope that this thing fails. And the reason why is they don't want it to be a situation where the locker room told them what the answer was and the organization listened to them and it actually worked. I think they want it to be a situation where the players tried to tell them that I know what's best for our locker room. I'm part of the locker room. We're going to tell you what to do. And then it all fails. So the next time they try to do that, be like, nah, Raiders did it and it didn't work. So we're not going to succumb to the pressure of the players.
I feel what you're saying.
It's an interesting perspective.
I think if the Rich Bisaccia situation doesn't happen, I don't know if they hire him as their head coach. I think they had a head coach the last time. They said, we know dudes like him, and we know y'all made it, had a playoff run, but we're going to go a different direction, and hire Josh McDaniels. And it failed miserably. And the guy that was in the same room, who had the ear of the players, had the ear of ownership, and showed that, no, this can be a team that wins, that can be a destination, that can be a place where players feel empowered that they're going to get the best each and every Sunday from their head coach. This is the right move for them to make, but I don't know if it happens if they don't have the same movie happen a couple of years ago.
That was an interesting perspective, just to see how this is perceived across the NFL here. But, within the Raiders there, you mentioned the 5-4 record. It's not outstanding there, but they did go 3-1 in the AFC West. They put up 63 points against the Chargers, a franchise record. They beat the Chiefs at Arrowhead, which was big for a team like this that's trying to buy in there. But I think you have to take into account the culture change. And the owner, Mark Davis, he saw it. He saw a shift in happy players, happy within the locker room. And he's like, all right, this is something that we can build off of heading into next season. Like you said, JP, once they get the right quarterback and a few other key pieces to really make a run.
Your culture is everything, right? You don't want to go in a workplace where you feel like, oh, well, here we go again. And that's how it was with Josh McDaniels. And then you bring Antonio Pierce in there, and it's not like that anymore. The atmosphere that dudes felt like they could actually win on a daily basis.
You think they make it a tradition to smoke cigars after all the victories?
Yes.
Yeah, maybe.
Yes, they do.
I think
especially Max Crosby. He like a little cigar.
Yeah, he does.
Listen, as a head coach, you also obviously have to fill some staff positions there and put the right pieces around you in that aspect. And Tom Coughlin, he's consulting Pierce and helping him fill out in that area. So good for him, and it's a nice change there with Las Vegas. But we got to get to your Buckeyes, Joshua, because Ohio State, they have hired Bill O'Brien as their new offensive coordinator. O'Brien comes to Columbus after stints with the Patriots and Alabama, and he's most notably, he was the head coach of the Houston Texans for 7 years. So JP, this is your bread and butter here. This is your former team. What do you make of this one?
It doesn't necessarily feel like the big splash or the home run that a lot of people want it to feel like. Bill O'Brien coming off of a not so great year with the Patriots. I know that there are folks that are like, oh, Alabama was rejoicing when they got rid of Amelia. He also led 2 really good offenses there at Alabama, putting up over 40 points a game. And Bryce Young, the year that he won the Heisman Trophy. I look back to that, and I also look back to what he did at Penn State. And you have to understand, he was coaching at Penn State during a time where they had severe scholarship reductions. They were coming out of one of the most egregious scandals in college sports history. And he led them to a place where they didn't fall off the face of the earth. And when he turned it over to James Franklin, Penn State was in a pretty good spot to be able to elevate to the place that they're at right now, where they can win 10 games a year. I think Bill O'Brien brings a ton of experience to the coaching staff. It's something where Ryan Day, I think, has been better when he's had more experienced coaches. Kevin Wilson was one of those guys. And then it allows Ryan Day to have the day-to-day stuff that the head coach needs to do more readily available because he's not sitting in the room game planning. It just brings up this idea of the fact that Ryan Day was elevated to the head coach of Ohio State because his superpower is offensive play design, game planning, and offensive play calling. And now he won't be as heavily involved in that aspect of the program. I think it's a big shift for the reason why you brought the guy in the first place.
Yeah, and it makes you wonder how that impacts his power or his strength there because, okay, that was his, like you said, that was his superpower for the play calling. Now that's kind of taken away from him. He was kind of already in a hot seat, wouldn't you say, coming, especially, falling to Michigan once again, coming in this season. There's clearly some disconnect with Kyle McCord transferring.
Yep.
So, how does that shift?
I think this is a big year for Ryan Day because there are no longer excuses for him. You've got the play caller who's got the head coaching experience in Bill O'Brien. You've made other changes to your staff. The collectives in Columbus have stepped up, allowed you to retain a lot of really good players that should have gone to the draft more than likely and wanted to come back for one more year. This is a year to get it done. And so for him, I think he has to lean in to that moment and understand, as much as he may get the itch to go in the offensive meeting room and try to draw some things up, you got to be a head coach right now. And you have to really enjoy that process of just being the head coach. And if you can get that part right, I think it permeates throughout the program. They got a hell of a roster coming back. Just got to execute at that point.
So priority number 1 for O'Brien and Ryan Day and the staff is to find that quarterback.
They got to develop the quarterback, and that's why you bring in a guy like Bill O'Brien as well, as he's done really well with the quarterbacks. And then I think the other thing, too, is you have to create alignment within the coaching staff. Again, I mentioned some of the changes that went on there. One of the things that tends to happen when you have a guy who is as experienced and has run organizations, not only in college but in the NFL, is, sometimes there's a little bit of a back and forth and a little bit of a struggle, and those guys don't like to be told what to do necessarily. And I think as much as possible, you have to have alignment, but you also have to empower those guys to feel like the ideas that aren't necessarily there sometimes feel like they were there, so they want to execute them the same way they would their own idea.
Gosh, I feel like the coaching carousel, it just continues to
crazy
evolve here. Yeah, between the NFL and college football.
I'm just curious how much they're paying him.
I think we're all curious. That is a good
$2 million?
question. Oh, Lord.
Maybe more.
They want me to coach. Okay.
I'm going to start calling plays at that damn point.
I know. I'll take half of that. Sure, why not? All right, coming up, we're going to keep you in college sports, but we're going to switch to some basketball. Gonzaga and Michigan State, they have been mainstays in the NCAA tournament for over 2 decades. But is this the year they missed the big dance? We'll ask our guy, Jeff Goodman. We've reached the halfway point of the NBA season. Time to hand out some mid-season awards. We'll see what the guys have for that. And Kirk Cousins and Bill Belichick, they are both hitting the open market. So could they meet up in the ATL? All right, well, we're going to take a look at that and more coming up next. This is The Rally. Welcome back to the Rally. Brooke, Joshua, Russ here. Guys, let's talk a little college hoops, and who better to discuss that than our college basketball insider and Jeff Goodman. Jeff, we appreciate you taking the time. We're going to start out of Illinois because there's been some really big breaking news there. 14th ranked Illinois, they got their boost regarding Terrence Shannon Jr. So what more can you tell us with that?
So a judge just hours ago granted him a temporary restraining order, which means that he is able to play after being charged with rape about 4 or 5 weeks ago. The charge came right after the holidays, and Terrence Shannon had been suspended since then, trying to get this temporary restraining order, and the judge today allowed it, which means, and now the Illinois put out a statement saying that he is fully reinstated as a student and as a student athlete, so he's able to play Sunday against Rutgers, while the legal system still continues to go through its process. So he'll still have a court date in late February. It's not as though, he's been deemed innocent, guys, or guilty. But basically what the judge is saying is because nothing's been proven at this point, they're going to allow him to be able to continue to play basketball.
Yeah, that is some news. We know that you are going to continue to give us details there, but let's switch gears to Mark Few, and he just won his 700th career game. And Gonzaga, they have the second longest active streak of making the NCAA tournament, third if you include Kansas there. So, Jeff, do you think that streak is going to end this year, though?
Well, ordinarily, I would say yes, because they don't have a lot of really good resume wins. They've really struggled, and they're not the same team that they've been. They're thin. They only go about 7 deep. They don't have a star. They lost Drew Timme. So ordinarily, I would say yes, based on their resume. But then when you look around the country, you're like, how are we going to fill out 68 teams in this bracket? It could come down, because St. Mary's hasn't been great either in WCC. It could come down to the WCC tournament and, kind of a one-bid league. But I think they're going to end up getting in. I think both St. Mary's and Gonzaga ends up getting in at the end of the day because, again, they just there's not a lot of depth this year in terms of around the country. I mean, you look at it, Pac-12 stinks. ACC is not very good. Big 12's loaded. Joshua's Big Ten is down as well. So you gotta fill the field, right, with somebody.
All right, Jeff, well, let's take it over to my Big Ten. Talk about Michigan State. Spartans are 3-4 in conference, but been playing better ball as of late. I believe won 7 of their last 9 games. So what do you make of their tournament chances?
This is really a downer segment, guys. You hit Gonzaga and the fact that, Few's streak is going to end. Tom Izzo, is he going to retire or something? No, he's not going to retire anytime soon because he's got no hobbies. But his team was season top 5. And they have been absolutely ordinary for most of the year. And part of it is really Tyson Walker has been awesome, but the rest of the team has been up and down. And Jay Nakins hasn't stepped it up. And obviously Jeremy Fears, their talented freshman guard, was involved in a shooting around the holidays, and he's done for the season, hopefully getting better on the men. But, A.J. Hogarth's up and down. They're just a team that I think we all kind of anointed as a top 5 team because they brought everything back and they have Tom Izzo coaching them. But when you look at it closely, what they did last year, it wasn't a whole heck of a lot. You look at that, and yeah, Tom Izzo and Mark Few. You could have both of them ending their streaks this year, potentially.
All right, Jeff. John Calipari reached 400 career wins at Kentucky. We've seen a lot of legendary coaches walk away. You talk about Coach K, and Jay Wright, and Roy Williams, and Jim Boeheim, all not coaching anymore. How long do you think Cal still wants to do this?
By the way, did you know Terry Francona is a huge, huge college hoops fan?
Tito,
Arizona.
I did not know that. How about that?
Yeah, I'm going to get out to Arizona and hang with him for a little bit.
Look at you name dropping.
I don't know what the question was, Russ, because I'm looking at you and I'm thinking baseball, but I know it involved John Calipari, so I think I can probably BS it a little bit here. Listen, Cal needed this year desperately. All right, he needed this because Kentucky fans, and whatever he does in the regular season, I'm not going to say it doesn't matter, but it kind of doesn't matter because Kentucky fans want to be a factor in the tournament, and they haven't been a factor the last 3 or 4 years. So he's done a great job with this team, this young team for the most part. they've played with a maturity that I didn't anticipate. Rob Dillingham's been awesome. Reed Shepherd's been way better than expected. You know, Antonio Reeves and Trey Mitchell, the two veterans. And Reeves was as good as gone. He was taking classes at Illinois State and then kind of found out, like, probably not legally, I'm not able to transfer somewhere else and play. So he came back, and he's been terrific this year. And they got Trey Mitchell because Bob Huggins was fired from West Virginia. But, yeah, I hope I answered your question, Russ. But me, you, and Tito are going to hang out in Tucson.
I'm down. I'm down. That sounds great. That sounds like great. Look, that's what you get with Jeff Goodman, right? You get
he never wants to hang out with me, though.
He name drops. My guy. He's just saying that because he made fun of me for tight T-shirts. But that's neither here nor there. That's our guy, Jeff Goodman. Hey, he's been working on the guns. Let's go. Let's go.
Give us one more flex.
One more flex, Jeff, and we can get out of here.
Listen, I don't have
Hey!
That's our guy. Jeff, we appreciate the time and knowledge as always.
He's the best. All right, listen, we've reached the halfway point of the NBA season, so you know what we're going to do? We're going to hand out some mid-season awards on the other side of the break. Stick around.
It was a fairly routine night at the Australian Open, and not a ton of highlights except for one. Mira Andreeva, she was down 5-1 in the third set, able to save a match point and create an impressive comeback. But what's even more impressive is Mira Andreeva is just 16 years old, and now she's into the round of 16. She already put $375,000 in her pocket, and that's just continuing to count. She's actually not the only young player that's turning heads down under, though. There's one that's in action tonight, and he's American. He's 19 years old. His name is Alex Mickelson, and there's a good chance in just his second slam ever that he just completely pushes the nerves aside and forgets the fact that he's playing the sixth best player in the world in Sasha Zverev, and potentially cause a huge upset because Zverev was pushed to a 5-set thriller in his last match. So maybe fatigue sets in a little bit here and a good opportunity for the young American. But my favorite match on the slate today is between Casper Ruud and Cam Norrie. Cam Norrie played his college tennis at TCU, even though he's a Brit guy. So if you want want to have a reason to cheer for one guy or another, maybe cheer for the one with some American ties here, because although Casper Ruud has won all 3 of their matches before, they both were on court for nearly 4 hours in 5-set thrillers in their last matches. So this one's going to come down to the wire, and I'm tagging this one as my best match of the day. But make sure you tune in because it's great action going on down under.
Danny Kaye doing a great job giving us all the updates from the Australian
Danielle.
Open there. How about the Americans making a run, giving us a lot to cheer for? But now let's talk some NBA, guys. While the tennis season is just ramping up, it's mid-season for the NBA. So you want to hand out some awards?
Yes.
All right, let's start with overachiever. Now, this can be teams, it can be maybe a player, but I'm focusing here on teams. What do you got?
I mean, Thunder, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I felt like we were ready for them to take the next step because they had Chet coming back. They've got a really good young core, but the way they're playing right now feels a lot more mature than they actually are as a team. We talked about SGA ad nauseum and the beautiful things that he's done throughout the season. Chet Holmgren coming back. You tried to tell us, Russ, that this dude was going to be balling, and he is. And so for me, certainly a team that feels like they're reaching higher than what their ceiling should have been to start.
I think for Chet, he ate over the summer. He ate food, and it's done wonders for him and the Thunder. For me, I thought we would all probably pick the Thunder, so I'm actually going to choose the Orlando Magic.
Okay.
They're a team out in the East. They're the 8th seed right now. I don't think there were a lot of people that were looking at the Magic and saying, oh, they're going to be, a force to be reckoned with, but they are, right? They're in a spot where they avoid the play-in. You got Paolo Banchero playing excellent basketball. Cole Anthony, friend of the show, playing good basketball. Franz Wagner. They have a lot of young talent they've acquired over the years, and it's getting them to a point where they're right around that range where, the Indiana Pacers are only 1 spot ahead of them. The Miami Heat are there as well. And those teams haven't played their best basketball as late, so you can make a jump here soon.
Yeah, and I'll give some love to the Timberwolves. They're at the top of the West there, so they have really overachieved. But from the overachievers to the biggest underachievers, I'm going to kick this one off.
Go ahead.
Because I have some.
You're wearing their
here.
colors.
Yeah, the Detroit Pistons. It's really unfortunate.
Yuck.
We know that you guys are in rebuild mode, but come on, you paid Monty Williams all this money here. It was time to take that step forward, but instead we took like 5 steps back. I don't know exactly how to explain the woes here. I don't know where they go from here, but just, you gotta get better. It's really sad. I hate it for Pistons fans. I hate it for Detroit. It's like the Pistons, they sacrifice so the Lions and Michigan, they can win the national championship.
Oh, brother. Jeez, guys.
I don't know.
I wish they wouldn't have done that.
But it sucks to see it.
Yeah. Wizards are one that really stands out. Nobody actually wants to talk about them. Here's one for y'all to think about. How about the Warriors? Let's talk about the Warriors situation right now. This team is not achieving to the level that we're certainly used to seeing them achieve. For some of the marquee players that they have on their roster, they don't look like themselves right now. We know Steph is Steph, the whole deal there, but Klay has been up and down. He's had his little emotional issues throughout the season too. Draymond, they brought him back, and then we saw what he did. Had to take a little hiatus from his team because he couldn't regulate his emotions there. And now we're in this mode where we're like, could they blow it up? Yeah. Should they blow it up? Would that be the right thing to do? Didn't think we were going to get there. Certainly have underachieved.
Los Angeles Lakers. I think all y'all.
Even after winning the tournament.
Because what has it done for them? They're the 11th seed.
Whoa. They got a banner. Calm down.
Yeah, they got a
BS
banner.
bull jive banner hanging up there with the championships. Kobe is looking down upset right now. No, it didn't do anything for them. They won the money. Cool. But where are they going to be? They probably have to play in the play-in again. That's terrible. A team with LeBron James and Anthony Davis, and then you gave Austin Reeves a bat. You shouldn't have to be fighting to get in the play-in every year. You played in that little tournament, didn't mean anything.
They got a banner.
They did get a banner.
All right, you're going to be looking at that banner from the crib.
All right, let's switch to how about player of the half? I'll kick this one off. A player that you already mentioned, and from the Thunder in SGA. I mean, he has arguably been the best player out of the entire NBA here, averaging 31 points per game. I mean, he is competing at an MVP level. He's the front runner at this moment. I mean, this is just a star. We talked about Ja Morant before everything that happened, that he was maybe going to be the face of the NBA, and there's still potential there. But I think SGA, he is the future of the league. He is just a star, if not already one.
All right, I'm going to go with Joel Embiid. 30, 40-point performances. It seems like whenever he wants to give us one, he has taken full control of that locker room over there in Philadelphia, which I think was important for him. And now we're talking about the potential for a back-to-back MVP for that guy. And it wouldn't just be that, but I think the way that he's playing basketball and what he does to affect winning for his team will directly affect their chances at making a run for a title, which, as you start to look at it, not the most outlandish thing right now. They're in a really good spot, and if Joel Embiid continues to go out there and just dog people, they're going to be right in the mix.
I like both of those. I'm going to go with Tyrese Halliburton. Right, a guy who's really burst on the scene this year, had his first All-Star appearance last year, and has continued to build off of that. You're talking about multiple 20-point, 20-assist game. That's insane. You're talking about a guy that's coming for a first-team All-NBA spot, leading the NBA in assists. He's also one of the better shooters in the league right now. Tyrese Halliburton has changed the culture there in Indiana with the Pacers. And look, they went out and get Pascal Siakam to pair with him. They believe in this young man to be the face of their franchise.
Yeah, and he put himself on the map down the in-season tournament to the Pacers and what they were able to do. Wow. He did not fall off.
He did not. Like the Lakers.
I will say, yes. All right. Let's get to some baseball talk here, because we haven't talked a lot of baseball. The Hall of Fame class of 2024 is going to be announced next week, and we have a couple of guys that are just on the border, right? They're on that line there, and so guys like Billy Wagner and Andrew Jones. Now you hear a lot of people talk about and make that argument of, you know, maybe they're Hall of Fame of very good, right? Or Hall of Very Good. Excuse me, not Hall of Fame. So do you think someone should actually build a Hall of Very Good museum?
We should build a proverbial Hall of Very Good. Also, Billy Wagner should be in the Hall of Fame. Don't play. Maybe the most dominant reliever of all time. Yes, you should. You think of guys like Paul Konerko, and my man Kenny brought up Carlos Delgado. That's a great one. Bernie Williams, Hall of Very Good. Lou Whitaker should be in the regular Hall of Fame. Let's not play about that. One of the best second basemen of all time. So, yeah, I think there should be something for the guys that just don't reach the bar. It should be really hard to make it in the Hall of Fame, but that doesn't mean we shouldn't acknowledge the dudes that were just below that.
So what's the criteria of getting in the Hall of Very Good?
So, like, there's a couple of benchmarks when it comes to baseball that get you in the Hall of Fame. So one of those is 3,000 hits, 500 home runs. Back in the day, 300 wins for a starting pitcher. Now I think it's going to be 200 wins just because of the way we view starting pitching. So a guy like an Adam Wainwright, back in the day, wouldn't get in the Hall of Fame. I do think he gets in the Hall of Fame in 5 years when his eligibility comes in. But yeah, if you're just below those benchmarks, so just below 500 home runs, just below 200 victories, etc.
I also think we have to take into account, I think All-Star appearances, they carry a lot of weight. I think maybe Gold Gloves, Silver Sluggers, right? Like postseason appearances. I think we can put some heavy weight there. But where would it be located?
Has to be a good, not great city. Yeah.
Like, I agree.
Like where?
Can't be your New York, Chicago, L.A.,
Indianapolis.
Oh.
Good, not great. It is.
It's an all right city.
It's a great city to travel to. You can walk around the downtown pretty easily. When it's cold this time of year, they've got tunnels connecting you to the convention center and to Lucas Oil. Like, this is a good spot.
If you like, what's the other place besides St. Elmo's that you like?
Prime 47.
Yes. Yeah. If you take those out, you wouldn't consider that. I think Orlando's.
No.
Ooh, how about
you need to go to a place that gets a little bit cold?
How about one that you and I both love, Minneapolis?
Minneapolis would be a good city.
Why does it have to be cold?
Because it's very good, but it's not great. You can't have like nice weather all year. You gotta have some nasty weather.
Okay. Well, Orlando's a tourist trap, but like it's a nice. What is? Milwaukee would be a good one.
Food city. You can drink.
Do we consider
How about Detroit?
Sacramento a good city?
Sacktown, as they like to call it. Do they call it that?
I think Detroit would be a great city. Detroit. Because the history there, it will help with like the tourism, bring some people in.
I want to say Toronto.
Who was our guy who was part of the tourism thing?
Oh, Big Dog. He said it's the best day of my life.
This would be the second greatest day of his life. Second greatest day of his life.
He was married and had children.
I'm curious what kind of like trophy we would give away. Would it be like a silver platter?
I think
or are we thinking like a glass
nice size
trophy?
Glass thing that has the etching. I think that's a nice gift.
Like the Basement Boy trophy.
The Hall of Very Good.
It was a nice gift.
It was.
I think, the Hall of Very Good. I think we're on to something here, guys. All right, we got a lot coming your way here. Coming up next, Kirk Cousins, Bill Belichick. Is that a match made in heaven? Well, maybe. We're going to discuss on the other side of the break. Pete. Thanks so much for coming back.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me on the coldest week of the year. Much appreciated.
I am the king of the late res, so I love that. Also, by the way, Joshua Perry got his open table account banned. That's something we need to talk about on the show here.
I didn't get banned, suspended.
He was arrested with a bunch of drugs in his pants at one point at the border. So, like, crashed his motorcycle a bunch. Very, very cool rock star lifestyle from Bob Probert.
I'm doing great. You know, I rode my bike here in the cold. You know, I know you guys have seen me around the city in my bicycle.
I've almost pit clay a couple times on the road, and that says nothing about my driving and more about his bike race, okay?
And this is a clear example, and it's pretty electric. So absolutely points scored for the PWHL here.
Who says women can't fight?
That's right. Pineapple on pizza is tremendous.
I think it's good too.
Yeah,
it's not
tremendous.
something it's not like a go-to, but it's definitely a good change-up.
And we got a familiar face back in studio.
New guy.
Bonjour,
New guy.
mademoiselle, monsieur.
Oh, would you just take a look at that? Big French guy now.
I see that they got the buckets of wings, and you know, you got the mild, you got the medium, little barbecue. It's all fine. If you need to find a spot that's got some lemon pepper, dry rub, go ahead and do the lemon pepper wings, all flats, extra crispy.
Why you gotta throw Damian Lillard in the mix, making Heat fans at home?
Because Heat fans all summer are like, oh, we getting Dame, and then they didn't, and they were like, we didn't even need Dame. You lie.
Just
and then they
taking them while
started
they're
getting mad
down,
at
man.
GMs.
Yeah. And then they're like, no, we got Jaime Jaquez. Stop it.
I would say a block, I think. Aces are great, and they don't happen as frequently as blocks do, for me at least.
Please, just tell me something that makes me feel a little bit better as a Red Sox
I will.
fan.
You know, let me help you, because I think really the thing you should really focus on is you could probably get the tattoo changed to just the red.
But the Eastern Conference, in my mind, is wide open. There is not a real standout team, and that's coming from me, a Bruins fan. I'm the biggest Bruins homo. Bobo, I'm sorry. That is a wild slip by me. I'm so sorry. I'm the biggest Bruins homer and Bobo in the world. So, oh man, I'm never gonna live that one down. That clip is gonna hit the internet, and it's gonna be.
You're a meme now. Y'all were not here that day. I thought we were all getting canceled. I thought Pete was getting canceled for
He's
his
had a
little
few
slip,
incidences.
and I
His
thought
week
me,
got worse
me
after
and
that. Can you
Danny
imagine?
were gonna get canceled for laughing, and then he went on the internet. And I thought he was gonna get canceled again.
He told a brother who was a paraplegic
we don't need
to stand up.
We don't need to go into details.
And the dude couldn't.
Come on.
The dude made a joke about it.
I know, but it is.
We don't need to bring this back up.
You never want to be the main character on the internet, and he was.
He was canceled.
He's not canceled. We love our guy Pete here.
Guys, let's take
we
a deep
love
breath
him.
real quick.
All right, it was fun. We loved having our guy Pete on. We always do. It was a fun week here on the Rally. A lot of our good friends stopped by here. But let's talk about this guy behind me, and that is Josh Hader.
Yeah.
How about him and the Astros? They reached a 5-year, $95 million deal. That's the second largest contract ever given to a reliever. So, Russ, what do you make of this one?
Yeah, it's actually the largest, considering that he has no deferrals. Edwin Diaz, who got $102 million, got deferrals. It's surprising because the Astros came in as a team late in the game, made a late push for Josh Hader. And now you look at their bullpen. You can make the case they have the best back end of the bullpen in the big leagues right now. Obviously, bringing Josh Hader. They had a guy who's one of the best closers already in the big leagues in Ryan Presley. And then Brian Abreu, their high leverage guy, who might be better than both of them, which is insane. That's nasty in the back end for the Astros. You're talking about a team that is looking different, right? They're not the same Astros that we've seen from a couple years ago when they won the World Series, so they've had to make some adjustments, but this is how you continue to get yourself back in the postseason, continue to have as many bites at the apple as possible, spins at the wheels, whatever analogy you want to use to reach the playoffs, possibly win the World Series. It's nasty when you think about what they're going to be able to do in the back end.
Yeah, Josh Hader, he doesn't pitch much, but when he does, he makes the most of it.
He
there.
said, you got 3 outs from me, and they're going to be the best 3 damn outs.
33 saves
he
last
said, I ain't doing
season.
that 4 or 5 out stuff. 3, that's what you get.
And listen, he does his job well. That's why he got that bag there. 33 saves last year, 1.28 ERA with the Padres. So good as the Astros, they add a arm to that pitching staff. But, you know, he found his new home in the Astros. It looks like Kirk Cousins, he's on the hunt for a new destination. He's about to hit the open market. When asked about the possibility of teaming up with Bill Belichick, he said, quote, I'm not going to turn down an opportunity to play with a future Hall of Fame coach, but we'll have to see where March leads. It's just a lot of unknowns right now. All right, well, Belichick,
what a last line.
Belichick has already interviewed with the Falcons twice here.
There's a lot of unknowns right now.
There's a lot of unknowns, you know. So do you think those two can make a good pair there in Atlanta, JP?
I'm not sold. on this pairing here.
Why is that?
I feel like Kirk Cousins, for as productive as he has been and for as good as he has been in a lot of moments, feels a little bit empty cows to me. Like, I feel like they're not impactful stats all the time, don't always correlate with winning football. And so that's a little bit of an issue for me. And we talked about Bill Belichick and the best way for him to be successful. Like, working with Kirk Cousins, I'm sure that he could do a lot with a guy like that, honestly. But I think that he's looking for more of a premium quarterback in the prime of their career rather than a Kirk Cousins who's a little bit banged up and is getting older, has been around the league for a little while there. So I don't necessarily hate this, right? Like, I guess what I'm getting at is I don't hate it. But if we feel like we're about to, open up a new Super Bowl dynasty down in Atlanta, if this were the pairing, hold the phone, probably not going to happen.
I don't know if Bill wants to do the just grab a quarterback and try to make it work. It didn't work for the Raiders when they tried to do that with Jimmy G. I think you go into the draft, maybe you trade up, maybe you trade for Justin Fields, maybe you trade for somebody else, and get a young person that you can build as the franchise face and go from there, right? It's not going to be a one-year project for Bill Belichick if he does end up down there in Atlanta with the Falcons, but get you a young guy that you believe in, that you can grow your offense with, and then go from there.
It's kind of giving me like the Matt Ryan era a little bit. Like I'm seeing some parallels, and I feel like Atlanta, I've said this, I feel like they've lacked an identity. And so I think it's time, like you guys have been saying, I think it's time to find that next generation, that franchise quarterback that you can really build something with. But I will say, Kirk Cousins and Bill Belichick, they give me that same energy as far as like both shops at Kohl's, like they're just, the student of the game. Like they just seem like they would just hang out, and
I feel like one's a curmudgeon.
Just maybe have some
and the other
wine
one
coolers
is
together.
like eternally
Nice guy,
optimistic.
yeah.
The other one's you.
Yeah.
What?
You are Kirk Cousins.
Mr. Brightside, Miss Brightside.
Wait,
You're
you
Kirk Cousins.
You're Kirk Cousins.
Excuse me?
Just super
100%.
optimistic, always glass half full.
You're
always see the bright side.
Kirk Cousins.
You're Kirk Cousins.
If he shopped at the Louis store.
Yeah.
If he shops at
Kirk Cousins.
Thank you for adding that in there. Because I took offense to that for a second.
If he rented the runway,
She's like, this is not Kohl's.
If he rented the runway,
how dare you?
There's nothing wrong with Kohl's. Listen, there is nothing wrong with Kohl's. I love some Kohl's
But she
cash.
said it
Don't
ain't
get
for
me
me.
wrong.
Kirk
But
Cousins.
She said Kohl's ain't for me,
Kirk
though.
Cousins.
Not
Nothing
right
wrong
now.
with it, but it ain't for me.
I'll go there from time to time.
No,
here.
you won't.
But I do agree.
When was the last time you went to a Kohl's?
You're a liar.
Well, there's not many near me. Is there a Kohl's near here?
I'm sure there's one out in the suburbs.
I go to Sephora
Probably next to the
Kohl's.
Chili's you want to go to.
And yeah.
Don't hate on Chili's. See, Patrick said that he's going to take me next time because I do love some Kohl's there. Great deals. Great deals.
You're
I
not
did some
using
Christmas
Kohl's
shopping
cash.
there, actually. I did some Christmas shopping at Kohl's this year.
Not for yourself,
For my
though.
grandma.
Yeah, definitely not for yourself.
For my grandma.
You shop at Bottega.
Okay. Okay.
They have
okay.
in France.
She over there at Aritzia.
Are you guys done?
No. And
Where are we?
Fendi
Get us out of here.
in the Gucci store.
All right, we are talking Jason Kelce. He has, speaking, you know who shops at Kohl's? I'm just kidding.
He does.
Jason Kelce.
He shops at Kohl's.
But listen, that's why we all love him there. He's so relatable. He's just a good guy. You don't hear any bad things about him. And listen, that's why a lot of fans are sad that he's kind of teetering with whether he should retire or not. So let's go through some pros and cons to help him make his decision. Pro or con, gets to spend more time with Taylor Swift.
Pro,
right?
She's a billionaire.
She is.
I would rather
She
spend
is.
time with billionaires.
As much as I was hating early on,
Say it.
she seems like a pretty regular gal that you'd just like to hang out with.
Given the amount of fame, the amount of money,
Yeah.
how much she's in the spotlight, like
Yep.
you see her in the box and she's like swagging and surfing. She's just very relatable
It
and
was more of just a little bob. I wouldn't call it
wasn't a
swag surf.
I don't want to
she's
disrespect the
surfing,
dance.
I don't
surfing,
either.
she's
She's
dancing.
moving.
She's having a good time,
She
people.
was moving.
She was
Her
okay.
body.
She was
She was
dancing.
bobbing a little
No.
bit.
Have
I'm
you
not
seen her
calling.
to where she has some rhythm? She's got rhythm.
No comment.
It's neither here nor there. All right, that's a pro. Pro or con? Gets to spend more time with Donna Kelce.
It's
His
wild
mom.
to say spending time with your mom is a con.
It depends on who your mom is.
She bakes
They
apparently
mom
some
get
really
money.
good cookies.
What's homegirl's name who just got out of jail?
Oh,
She didn't want to
Gypsy
spend
Rose.
no time with her mama.
Well,
Well, Joshua.
I'm just saying. That's why you put her on the pro-con list. We got to figure out. We think Donna Kelsey's a good woman. They'd like to spend time
she
together.
seems like a nice lady.
I'm moving on.
She is.
Pro or
She's
con?
starred the Campbell Soup commercials too. This is pro.
Yes,
Pro.
she did. She did. It's been a big year for Donna Kelce. Pro or con? Spends less time with with Nick Sirianni?
You know, Nick Sirianni feels like one coach where you would actually like to spend time. That's what I get from him.
Seems like the type of guy you want to go grab a beer with.
Yes.
He also seems like the guy, if he has too many beers, it would be a con.
You just gotta.
Because he likes yelling at people and going off on fan base, and if he had a little bit of the taste while he's doing that.
Not the taste. I'm gonna say this is a con, spending less time around Nick Sirianni.
Okay. Well, we know that Jason likes to make mini stops at McDonald's because he recently gave his signed jersey to a McDonald's employee. So pro or con, gets to eat more Mickey D's.
Big con. Big con.
It sounds like a pro
it's a
at
pro.
first, but it's not.
I don't.
Golden Arches.
We talked about it yesterday on the Clubhouse. I don't think he's going to be one of those guys that keeps on all the way.
I don't think he's going to do the blimp thing.
He's already he's one of the smaller centers of all time, even though he's going to be a Hall of Famer. I don't think his body was built to carry all that.
I don't
so I think
think
he's
so
going to be, next year, this time, he's going to have lost 100 pounds. Easy.
Not 100.
That's what those linemen do. They lose tons of weight.
Like a
Look at Kyle Long said
he's
he
not
lost.
going to be no 185.
Dude, Kyle Long lost 100 pounds in like 6 months after he stopped doing all that.
Yeah, he had
eating
more
and
weight
stuff.
to lose, though. He's going to be frail if he loses 100 pounds.
We're
He'll
going to
be
check back.
$185.
We're going to check back in a year.
He's not 300 pounds?
No.
Pro or con, last one here, gets to spend more
Dude, like
time
290.
podcasting.
This could be a con.
That's a pro.
That's a pro.
Their podcast
They are
is doing
getting
really
money
well right now.
It could be a con.
Fun fact, Homage, shout out to Homage, great Ohio brand and company.
Shout out.
My podcast did a blue brand deal with them. It was kind of their first foray in the podcasting brand deals, and then New Heights came in.
Yeah. That's really an Ohio podcast, New Heights. Yeah. They got Hello Ohio Roots.
Yep. Ohio, guys.
Well,
All right, let us know your thoughts. Should Jason Kelce retire? Scan the QR code or go to playtherally.com.
Probably just a math equation for him at this point. All right, Bills fans are one of a kind. We'll show you what went down at the stadium today. Next on The Rally.
You only get to experience the first serve of a new league once, so don't miss the inaugural first match of the Professional Volleyball Federation between Atlanta Vibe and Omaha Supernovas. You can watch free right here on Stadium.
Yeah.
Free.
Very exciting. partnership that we got with the Volleyball Federation there. So exciting stuff coming your way. All right, so we have some big games on decks here this weekend, and yesterday the Bills put out an APB calling all Bills fans able and willing to come shovel snow for $20 an hour. Okay, and listen, guys, plenty of people they came, and look at the turnout here.
Yeah,
I didn't think people were going to show up.
Yeah,
Maybe I should.
$20 an hour.
If I was out there, I'd have shown up. It's a good workout too.
That's a good point,
Get your
Joshua.
back, lower back,
Yeah.
arm work.
And I think, if you're a college kid or a young guy, like $20 an hour, you're out there for 5 hours. That's
a lot of beers.
There's ladies out there too with shovels.
There are a lot of ladies out there, Russell.
They just want to be inclusive.
There sure are. Yep.
Rotational.
We didn't get a good look at that. Can you just do? Yep. There we go. All right. You're closest to the board. It is Friday, so it's time for our weekend picks. Russ, what you got?
Belichick gets hired. Yeah, I think that probably gets done at this point. Better Coco, Goff or Puff Goff?
Don't be disrespectful.
I didn't want to. All right, CJ Stroud total touchdowns over 2.5. I think he does get 3 minimum. Super Bowl lineup. If I'm just going off Usher performing, love. And then favorite tropical destination, I'm gonna say DR, Dominican Republic. Boom.
Part of your adventures last year.
Puerto Rico was last year.
Oh, that's right.
All right. See what we got here.
PR.
Okay, so I'm going to say no for Bill B gets hired. I think it might take a little bit longer than that, but probably going to get a job in this cycle. Definitely going Goff here. Shout out. Don't want to be disrespectful. With that one, I'm taking the over as well. CJ Stroud has been offense, it seems like, all year long, and as long as they can protect him relatively well, he's going to get his. I'm just going to go with a nice like here. It's good. It's not great for me. I like it. I don't necessarily love it. Certainly don't hate it.
Are you referring to just Usher or everybody else involved?
Lineup.
Okay.
The whole lineup. And then favorite tropical destination. St. Bart's.
It's a good one.
Oh,
amazing.
You fancy, huh?
I am.
You going to St. Bart's?
Listen, I'm not the only one on this show who won't shop at Kohl's.
Okay. Belichick gets hired. I don't think it happens this weekend, but I think he eventually does. Coco Gauff, I'm the biggest Coco Gauff fan. I love her. CJ Stroud, total touchdowns.
Coleridge.
It's going to be tough going up against
Coleridge Bernard.
Coleridge Bernard.
What?
That's his name.
Okay. I'm going to go over 2.5 there. Super Bowl lineup. The Post Malone thing just really throws me off, so I just like it.
Post Malone.
Yeah, it's just, I don't get it. But I hope he does well. And favorite tropical destination, I'm going to go with Turks and Caicos.
Oh, you get money!
Yeah, you can tell she got it.
People that go to Turks don't go to Kohl's.
I'm telling you right now.
I shopped at
I ain't
Kohl's.
never met nobody broke going to Turks.
Ain't no broke people going to Turks.
Never met nobody broke going to Turks.
All right. Well, we have a quick trip across the Rallyverse. We got Nuggets. They're taking on the Celtics and Boston there. Where would you rather live, Denver or Boston? It's that simple.
Denver. 100%.
I do like Boston, like the historical aspect to it, but Denver,
Boston,
I
they
went
don't
there
like
a
me in
lot over
Boston.
a couple years ago. The mountains, you can do a lot there.
They were saying some wild stuff to me.
What does
Oh my
that mean?
gosh, why?
I got to fight with Julian Edelman on Twitter.
What they call
We
you?
don't have time for that. Guys, have a great weekend. We'll see you Monday.